Hi guys, PJ here, and today we're back doing another Tom Clancy's The Division video. I've not done one of these for quite a few weeks now. When it initially came out, myself, like a lot of other people, we sort of played it to death and bought all the DLC and played that to death. And yeah, I mean, I'm quite a fan of the game. I still am. PC being my centric sort of play thing for it, but I also own it. Oop, shift out of the way. There you go, console version running in the background there. So yeah, I am a fan. Okay, no one buys multiple copies of a game unless they are a fan. However, this video I want to centre around sort of the artwork. I know it's quite an old video now, but with the new 1.7 patch out on the PTS server, the test server, and 1.8 due out, which is allegedly meant to have more content, maybe more map area to explore, which would be quite a nice thing. I know the last update, when we updated the mapping area and we got some more dark zone, etc., I was very eager, and my mates were very eager to go and see that as soon as possible. So yeah, there is a future sort of thing with the game, and I'm hoping it pulls new players in. So if it's going to pull new players in, and those players are going to be on PC, okay, consoles as well, what sort of PC do you realistically need to run this game looking nice? I mean, the Xbox version looked great, the PlayStation 4 version looks great, PS4 Pro version enhanced again. Will the game get an Xbox One X patch? Well, maybe, but it might not actually need it, because the game uses like a scaled resolution. So depending on how powerful the hardware is and how much load there is on the GPU is how good the graphics are, basically. So it could automatically look better on the Xbox One X. Anyway, like I say, concentrating on PC here. Do you need a supercomputer to run it? Well, no, not to run it. To run it on Ultra with everything, yeah, you're going to need some fairly beefy hardware, because the game is gorgeous looking. Like I say, this is aimed at new players, yeah, not you guys that have been around for ages and ages like I have, and you've played it a lot. Although I am actually hoping to get back in and start playing quite a lot more. We've got a good game here, and it keeps getting tweaked. They keep looking at it. The devs are working hard on it, so it's good. It's good. We need to give it the credit it deserves. It's worth visiting just for the graffiti. Now, if you're a new player, you're going to think, what on earth is he on about? Well, wander around the city a bit and you'll soon see some graffiti, really artistic stuff. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to load up the Uplay client for PC. As such, the Uplay client. Now, you've got the Division, yeah, and if you're lucky enough to get onto the PTS, the public test server, this is where they put everything that they're sort of trialing and make sure it's fairly bug free. I do say fairly bug free because some do get to the main game. I've found them myself, and some are hilarious, but PTS is where it's at. If you want to try out the new stuff and everything before Joe Blogs gets hold of it, load the PTS, go on there. It's like a test server though, so bear in mind it will not carry over. Your character on PTS will not carry over to the main game that you own, okay? So any rewards and stuff that can get rolled back, you might lose them and you won't get to keep them. Just bear that in mind. But it is good fun trying the new stuff. So you're going to concentrate on the main game here, because like I say, we're looking at all the graphics options and stuff and tweakability, and we're going to monitor how much GPU and CPU this game uses. Okay, now for me it's actually a first, because the last time I ran this I was on a normal 1080p monitor, now on ultra wide, so I'm not sure how well my GPU will handle this on ultra settings. It is quite a demanding game. So let's load into the game. Like I say, PC version. Okay, some people have got 1,000 hours or whatever. I've got 125 hours on this. I'm not really a Dark Zone player, PvP. I'm more of a PvE player. Okay, so I don't really bother with rogue agents and stuff. Everybody's got their own preference. If you want to be PvP, you've got a fantastic survival option on there to play. But if you're PvE like me, then you're just looking for the elites all the time, and you're after the correct armor to get and gear sets and everything, and that's where I focused it. I've put a lot of hours into the Xbox version, probably equally this many hours or more, so probably a ballpark guess more than 125 hours on the Xbox version. I'm also on the PlayStation 4 version. I'm leveling up a character on there at the moment. I've not had that long, and with all the new games coming out, I've not really had time to do it. So that's slow burn PlayStation version. I think I'm about level 20 or something on the character doing the story. But anyway, babbling on as I do, let's load the game. It's not installed on an SSD, so I'm going to do a quick cut here, otherwise you'll be waiting ages for the game to load. We don't really want that. Okay, so we've loaded into game, and well, actually we did go to load into game, but we actually crashed. We completely locked the system, so this is the second time I've loaded into the game. Like I say, there is the occasional bug, and you know, out of 50 loads it'll lock up once. It's like that, and I've just had that happen. Sod's law, that. But anyway, you know, you're going to basically go to new game if you've just bought the game, and start your character and everything, create your character and go from there. But the first thing you're going to want to dive into is options. Okay, now the game does have a benchmark built in, so you know, it'll try and detect what's best for your hardware. Okay, it does a pretty good job, to be honest with you. You know, it takes VRAM usage into consideration an awful lot, but I ended up tweaking most other parameters to get it how I wanted it to look and perform. Now, if you want a locked 60 frames per second and it, you know, not deviating under that at all, you are going to have to knock your settings down unless you're on something like a 1080 or a 1080 Ti. You know, it is a harsh game to keep a high resolution and keep 60 frames per second. Personally, I'm happy with, well, anything sort of 40 frames per second and up, with all the nice glitzy ultra settings on. Now, I'm using a FreeSync monitor, so obviously, you know, it keeps screen tearing and stuff under control, which is quite a handy thing to have. If you haven't got a FreeSync monitor, then obviously you want your VSync engaged. But right, let's just go through some of these options and have a look what we've got on this game, okay? Like I say, concentrating on the actual video requirements rather than all the rest. You have got a lot of options for control. I mean, I've got a Xbox One controller plugged in here, and literally you just have to touch it and it will change to, there you go, there's the prompts, look. Or if you go back to mouse and click on something, there you go. Mouse, keyboard, controller, switch seamlessly in-game and on options, so nice and handy. Which one you want to play it on is your preference. You know, being PC, you may want to go mouse, keyboard. I think it plays really well on controller on PC. Doesn't bother me. I'll do a bit of gameplay using that in a moment for you, but just to see what the game looks like. But anyway, so we've got key mapping as you'd expect for everything. Lots and lots of stuff to tweak there. The default keys are pretty well sorted out, so I won't bother with that too much. Video. Okay, now, like I say, it's also detected my ultra wide monitor. You got your usual there. You got full screen, borderless, windowed. You know, you can switch between them. Oops. There we go. Windowed, full screen. From what I've noticed, it doesn't seem to have much of an impact on FPS, whichever one you choose, so I just leave it on full screen. You may want windowless Bordeaux for some reason or another. Resolution, limited by your graphics card, quite literally. You know, I have not got downsampling enabled at the moment, DSR, so you know, it's going native at the moment. I've had this running at sort of 4K in the past, but it's a killer. You have to drop your settings down, you know, unless you've got a really, really powerful graphics card. My graphics card being a 4GB R9 290X, okay. Now, that's a bit of an older card nowadays, but basically, you just think along the same lines as an RX 480, 580, same sort of thing. A lot more clout in certain areas, and not quite as much clout in others. It's like that. Okay, so the R9 290, 290X, 390, 390X, RX 470, 480, RX 570, 580, pretty much the same thing, same family of cards. They even go back older than that slightly, to be honest with you. I am ready for a new graphics card, I must admit. The only problem is the Bitcoin miners have absolutely hammered the prices on them. They've gone all the way up. The prices are sky high at the moment for a replacement graphics card. So I'm holding off until that sort of died down again. Now, that's affected Nvidia as well. So GTX 1060, 1070, the prices have gone through the roof. So I'm holding off. You know, it's nice to be able to play PC games without, you know, sort of paying the absolute max. I mean, if you can do that and you've got a cutting edge system, fair play to you. I like to do it within reason, but still get a nice effect, shall we say. So anyway, there's my ultra-wide resolution. Now, you've got to bear in mind, I'm running a lot more pixels than a normal 1080 display. So when I put the FPS counter on, if you run a 1080p display, you're going to get a higher FPS than myself with the equivalent system. Okay, this system being an FX8350 CPU at 4.2. I got 16 gigabytes of RAM at 1833. The game is installed on a normal 7200 speed hard drive, and I'm recording using Radeon Relive software, and that's onto a Samsung SSD. Windows 10 running on an Intel SSD. Okay, so the software recording, it will have a little bit of an impact on the FPS, but sort of only 2 or 3 frames per second, nothing major. Okay, right, refresh rate, I can choose between 60 and 75. That's the overclock of this monitor, 75, so we'll leave it on that. I've only got the one monitor running. Reduce latency, not too bothered, to be honest with you. I've tried it on and off, and visually I can't detect the difference. Maybe my eyesight's not as good as it once was, but I can't really detect it, so hey. This is the weird one though. Enable DX12 renderer. Now technically my card, async compute card, yeah, should run DX12 renderer well. In other words, the game should run better on DX12. Weird. The game crashes on DX12. I did have it running for a while on DX12 and it ran slower. So I really don't understand that one. Running it on DX11. Very odd. Unless there's been an update on that since I last tried it, but I'm leaving it on DX11. Like I say, guys, newer cards, you know, your RX 480s, 580s, GTX 1060s and GTX 1070, 1080 should run that on yes, basically. Click yes if you've got one of those cards. And also you'll have more video RAM than me, because the GTX 1060 is what, 6GB. Don't buy the 3GB version, that'll be redundant before you know it. And the RX 480 and above, they're all 8GB cards, so yeah. Okay, graphics. There's a lot of options here. Like I say, mine's on custom. It did actually take me a while to get it to these settings to run right, so I've actually screenshot all my settings before I did this video so I can get it back again. Anyway, well, we don't want that with this new monitor. We want off. There we go. VSync on auto, I mean, it'll switch between 60 and 30 depending on what your card's running. I mean, it'll try and keep it synced, basically. That's the option. Right, frame rate limit. I keep it on a 60 frame rate limit. Does go higher, 120. You got the computer to run it? Fair play to you. Off. Sky's the limit. Consoles run at up to 30 frames per second. I'm not going to say they run at 30, because even with the render scaling that they do, they don't actually manage it. PS4 fares a bit better. You know, that does sort of stay pretty much near 30. The original Xbox One, the launch edition one, that struggles pretty badly, especially in the there's like a power plant and the end setting where you're underground and there's all steam pipes and explosions going off and stuff. The console chugs. It's like it's in slow-mo. You know, you're shooting somebody and he's moved like a couple of feet to the left or the right, so it's really bad. Xbox One S, yeah, a lot better. You know, it's a little bit quicker and it just helps it, so just bear that in mind if you play on an Xbox. You can have some fun there. But for us PC players, I'll leave it on 60. I'll put it on frame rate limit off so you can see, you know, like how it fluctuates on my system. You can do with it smooth though, so I'd put it on. See what you can settle at and put it on. You know, you don't want your frame rate going wildly up and down while you're trying to aim, do you? So if you want to lock it at 30 and have it all pretty, do it. You know, if you can lock it at 60 and have it pretty, brilliant. Right, shadow quality. Nvidia Pacifics on this game. Look, I can't show you those. Like I say, I'm on an AMD card. Low, medium. No, medium. I thought there was a medium. Low, high. There you go. It's different. I was expecting a medium. I haven't messed with these settings for a while. Shadow resolution there. You can always tell these look fluffy around the edges if they're too low. There we go. We've got a medium and a low. High being the top setting. Spot shadow count. Again, high being the top setting. Spot shadow resolution. We're on ultra. And it goes all the way through from low. Contact shadows. Off. Sun low. All high. And off. Okay. Post effects AA. I'm on 1x Ultra SM AA. You can go off. There you go, and high, all the way through, ultra. There we go. Temporal AA, super sampling. This is a very GPU intensive thing, so bear that in mind. You are in effect, super sampling, as it says, higher resolution down to your native resolution. Stabilization or super sampling. It says here, if I just read it to you, set the quality of the scene's temporal multi-sampling. The higher the sampling, the less moving objects will appear to jump. It also removes jaggies on object edges. It's the jaggies that you'll notice more than anything. From playing this game, that's what I spotted on it. We got a curved edge and it's like a stairwell. Ugh. Anyway, resolution scale. Bump this up at your peril. If you have got, a high-end system, i7 and a GTX 1080 or above, or GTX 1070, you could probably notch this up. Again, what that does for pretty much the whole image, it renders it at a higher resolution and then it'll downsample it to whatever you've got it set at. So for example, you could have this theoretically at 4K and downsample it to 1080p and it'd like nice smooth rounded edges and everything detailed would look crisper. But it's really GPU intensive. It goes above 100, look, you go to 200. Putting that on will have a drastic effect. I'll leave mine at 100. Sharpen image, that's completely up to you and how your monitor looks, to be honest, because obviously you've got sharpening on most monitor options. Set it where you're comfortable with. If your character looks nice and defined, that's where you want it. Okay. Particle detail, I'm on ultra, it starts at low. There you go. Enable wind and snow effects. These are really cool things to have on. As you're walking through the city, it adds loads of atmosphere. So if your GPU will stand it, I'd have these on. It's a good thing to have on. Looks nice. Turn it off and you'll see what I mean. Volumetric fog. Again, this looks brilliant. There's areas near the dark zone entrances that have just got this standing fog in the middle of crossroads and stuff with fire in the background. The scene looks fantastic. So if you can use this to any degree, do it. I'll tell you what you could turn down, without it making too much of a hit. So if you can keep the volumetric fog on to some degree, do it. Reflection quality. Now this is one you could possibly knock down without noting too much of a difference. It is what it says. Reflections, how good a quality they are. Yeah. We've got high, medium, low. High being the top one. Local reflection quality, and as it says here, set the rendering frequency and resolution of local scene reflections produced by objects nearby. Okay, stuff you're going to see that's very near. We're on very high. Goes high, medium, low, off. Very high being the top one. Subsurface scattering. If you don't know what that is, if you picture like the guy's face, with that on, his face should be able to see dimples and skin textures a lot more than with it off. With it off, it looks like a smoother blank sort of canvas. You can switch that off because you don't get that near to people when you're actually playing it. It does affect other surfaces as well, but you can probably turn that off. So that'd help you if you're struggling with your GPU. Yeah, if your FPS is dropping too much, to drop that down and drop your reflection quality down a bit. Yeah. Anisotropic filtering, nice and simple. How detailed the landscape is as it disappears off into the distance, sort of thing. This is the max, 16, I think it is. Yeah, all the way from 1. Look, there you go. 16 being the top one. Again, you could probably drop that down to 4. The consoles use a lot lower setting than this, and they look nice enough. So it doesn't have too much impact on GPU though. So bear that in mind. You won't gain loads of FPS back by dropping that down. Parallax mapping, we're on high. Again, this is to do with sense of depth and everything. What does it say? It provides textures with a sense of depth without additional geometry. So in other words, it's trying to work around something. Yeah. So we're on high, low, and off. High being the top one. Okay. Doesn't have that much of GPU impact. So again, turn it off and try it. You may note that Uplay has a built-in FPS counter. So if you go to your settings of your Uplay, you can enable an FPS counter and it'll just sit in the top corner and show you your FPS. So you can probably set your game up using that. Right, ambient occlusion, we're on ultra. Again, it's not so taxing, this isn't. We're on ultra, very high, high, medium, low, off. Yeah, I thought so. It's quite a lot of options there. NVIDIA, the top one. There you go, for you guys within the GeForce cards. I've had GeForce cards myself in the past, and they're a good bit of kit. I like to swap and change depending what there is around. My last GTX was a 580, 3GB. It was the top one then, and yeah, it sort of went up in smoke. It was a good card though, it lasted ages, so I can't grumble. Depth of field, obvious one, isn't it, that one? High, medium, off. You know, sort of DOF effect. If you're looking down, for example, an iron sight, yeah, there'll be some stuff that's blurry and some stuff that's in focus. That's what DOF is, how strong that effect is. Okay, again, not really that intensive. Object detail. This is a GPU killer. If you're struggling, lower it down. The only problem is, of course, the objects in the game world will look decidedly worse. We're on 100% here, which is the max. I'm not actually sure where the consoles run, but it's nowhere near that. I couldn't tell you, but I've compared objects and they're a lot lower. PS4 Pro, that looks certainly a level above the normal PS4 and Xbox One, so Pro upgrade's quite nice. Extra streaming distance, again, this is another GPU intensive one, and it is one that you could probably knock down a peg or two. If you look right into the distance, it's how much it renders into the distance. Obviously lower that down, it has to render less, so it's doing less. Yeah, 70% there for myself. That's quite a long way. Yeah, you can still see everything in the distance rendered fully. 100%. Not really need it because you're normally concentrating on the firefighting stuff, aren't you? Unless you're specifically taking snapshots and stuff. So yeah, you could probably drop that all the way down to like 40%. You're not really going to tell, and that will help your GPU if you're struggling. Now, I say if you're struggling, I mean this game will run on like GTX 960. You know, that type of thing. So if you go GTX 970, which was the previous top one for Steam users, it'll run nicely. Just watch your VRAM. Don't go over 3.5GB of VRAM, otherwise you'll slow everything to a crawl, because your last half a gigabyte is slow memory. It's not proper, you know, proper full speed stuff. Right, chromatic abbreviation. Ugh. Some people like this, some people don't. Developers seem to love it. It's like that blue haze around the edge of everything, makes everything look a little bit more impact. I hate it, so I would turn it off. It's not really going to have any impact at all on your GPU. It's just a personal thing. I don't like it. Neutral lighting. No, I like it with all the lighting effects sort of on and at the fullest, so I don't want neutral lighting. It says here it turns off various lighting enhancements. Now there's the key word, enhancement. You're turning them off. Nah, not for me. I like it all on. Lens flare, we all know what that is. You know, the circles when the sun hits something. A lot of people turn them off, they don't like them. I do like them, so I've got them on. Vignette effect, again tying in with lens flare there. It says turn on or off the reduction of the scene brightness at the where are we? At the periphery compared to the centre. There you go. Well worded that, nice and clear. Nice one, Yubi. I suppose I could have explained that any easier, to be honest with you. Vignette effect, again, like the sort of spectrum colour effects that come off when you're looking at certain angles. I do like it myself, so it's on. Yeah, it ties in with lens flare quite a lot, to be honest. If you like lens flare, you probably like Vignette. Keep it on. So they're my settings. Like I say, you've got benchmark. Yeah. We won't run that at the moment. I will run it actually in-game and show you what I'm getting with those settings, and then I'll stick it all on low and show you that. Visuals, more stuff. Your brightness, turning all your radar and stuff on and off. Damage numbers, I do turn those off. I feel they get in the way and detract from the game. You know if you're damaging an enemy, he's got a health meter and it goes down. The numbers show that your weapon's doing its job, I suppose, but the way the characteristics are with the game, it's not just about DPS. Okay, so the game's got a DPS readout, which you think, oh, that's how good my gun is, so I'll upgrade my gun and the DPS goes up and that's it. No, that's not it. You've got additions to the weapon that you can turn on, like perks that you can highlight, and you've got to be at a certain sort of level on things to get them activated. Your main aim should be to get those activated once you hit your top level 30. Okay, the damage numbers, it's up to you. You might want them on, you might not. The rest pretty obvious. Look, nothing there to read out to you. It's straightforward enough. Auto hide HUD, I'll put yeah. You know, it's a good looking game. I don't want the HUD in the way all the time. I like to look at the scenery. And that's the rest. Look, lots of stuff. Audio. Okay, as you could expect, volumes for everything, mix type, you've got home cinema, etc., depending on what you're going to run it on. I plugged this headset in and it's coming up as TV speakers. A bit weird, but never mind. Mute audio when focus is lost, yes or no, blah 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 blah. This is for like local chat, you know, if you're not using a specific system. There you go, loads of stuff. Like language, stands to sense, doesn't it? I won't be changing that one because I will get really lost. Right, let's load into game. And as if by magic we load into game. No, I've just chopped all the loading out. It's pointless you guys watching that. Well, like I say, we're on mouse keyboard, but we can swap. There you go. And this is the last safe house I visited. I can't even remember, to be honest with you. But you're going to get, if you're a new player to this game, the way I see it, there's 3 basic areas, yeah? There's the dark zone, which is sort of meant to be hell on earth, you know, player versus player, or player help player, player versus enemy. You don't get any stuff until you get it extracted. And there's the main city, the PvE area, which is what, you know, I think I'm in here. Yeah, there you go. And there's also, if you've got the DLC, the underground. Now the underground sort of, how can I put it, randomly creates underground networks and caverns and stuff to go and shoot and explore. Very nice looking. But yeah, I can't even remember where I am. But as you can see, runs nice and smooth, looks nice with these settings. You've got all your fog going on, you've got your snow going on, etc. Where are we? Can't I even remember what button to press. Like I say, I've been playing the PlayStation version quite a bit. Right, we're up here, are we? Okay. So, you go to your base of operations. Just fast travel that. When you sort of start the game. You all know this area. This is your base of operations area. And, yeah. This is the sort of FPS I get with my ultrawide on these settings. It sort of stays above 30. You know, I'm making a liar out of me now. Look, 29.5 there. So yeah, limit your FPS on it. But it's a nice looking game overall. Now if you were to drop some of these settings down, if you want your 60 frames per second lock for your PC players, like I say, I'm not too fussed myself. As long as it's the north side of 30, which is console settings, I'm happy. And I would normally have the cap on it as well. Right, let's do that now. Let's change it lower. Okay, here's low. So you know, bits like the fog and what have you. Still got a little bit of snow wandering around there, but stuff renders in. If you walk down the street, you'll see stuff actually render in. FPS though, sort of 70. It still looks nice, don't get me wrong, the game still looks good. The character looks nice and detailed still, so no problem there. But you know, that's 58, 57 frames per second. Nice looking game. So if you went up to the next one, say high, we'll jump from medium. Yeah, I mean low on VRAM, I'm showing it's using 3 gig. Yeah, so you're going to need a 3 gig card to run this game, without a doubt. And it's using all 8 cores of my CPU. This CPU load is pretty high. I'm on 90% CPU load. Now, okay, I'm running the recording software as well, but it still shows the game's pretty intensive. Okay, so let's just bump it up one. And here's high. So we're now on about 3.3, 3.5 gigabytes of VRAM. This is the high setting. FPS look 47, 52, 48, so noticeable impact. Yeah, you're not going to hit your 60 with my spec rig. But saying that, now you know my system is getting old. Like I said earlier, I am ready for an upgrade. Just waiting for the Bitcoin miners to get bored again. You know, and Ryzen CPUs, they're looking favourable to me. But yeah, plays nice. This is high setting. Looks nice, plays nice, is nice. Okay, one more setting. Okay, this is full ultra. Everything ultra. And like I say, running the ultra wide, I am running a lot more pixels than you guys with your normal 1080 displays. Yeah, looks gorgeous. Averaging what, 40 to 43 sort of FPS there. Looking down a long road, lots of detail nearby, so perfectly playable. Got some volumetric smoke going on there. Great looking. Okay, now what this hasn't got on ultra is the super sampling crank right up like I had it originally, and to be honest, now I've upgraded to this ultra wide monitor, I think I'm going to have to knock super sampling on the head a bit. It was a little bit too low when I loaded this into game, so I'd probably keep it on ultra and just faff with a few bits and bobs. But yeah, great looking game. So if you're new to the Division, you're a PC player, you know what to expect. Unfortunately, it won't run on a potato. It does need a pretty meaty system to play nicely, but it is so worth it. It's a great looking game. Make sure you shut them car doors as you're running along as well, you know, important. Nah, seriously, you might get an achievement out of it. Okay guys, well I hope you like this video. I'm hoping to do some more future gameplay videos. You know, I've done pretty much all the activities in this game with different characters or on different platforms. So hopefully you'll see some gameplay on future videos. Any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.